This one's going to be a long one, lads, so get yourself a beverage, get yourself a snack, get something to do with your hands and put me on in the background, because this one is going to be long. Hello, my name is Sophie and welcome to today's vlogmas video. Today I want to talk you through every book I have bought this year and whether or not I've read it. According to my spreadsheet, I've bought 132 new books this year. I have read 35 of them, which equates to 27%. But in gathering all the books I've bought to prepare to make this video, I found a stack that I know for a fact that I bought this year that wasn't in that list. Even I can't track my own statistics correctly. You see these two stacks here? There are 4 stacks on the floor next to me. I've just taken a little clip before I've started of all the books in one shot, and I could barely get far enough back in this tiny room to get them all in one shot. So I'm really going to try and not over explain anything. I'm going to go through every book I've bought in the order roughly that I bought them, plus the little bonus ones at the end that I didn't include on my list. The first book I bought was Loath to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, which is a collection of 3 short stories, which I believe only came out at the beginning of this year. I really did intend to read this, but I did not read it. The second book I bought was Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I got this from the works for £6, and I did read this one, but I read it on Kindle Unlimited, so this copy is still untouched. But I did also find Twisted Games in a charity shop, but because I hated this one, I decided I'm going to unhaul this one. The next book I bought was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I got it from the works for £5, and I did read this one and I rated it 5 stars. Then I bought Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo because I already own Six of Crows, and I know this is the second book in the duology, and I haven't read either of them. The other thing I could do is I could add up how much I spent on all of these books, but that will make me really sad. Next, I picked up a box set by Anthony Horowitz because I started the year by reading the Alex Rider series by Anthony Horowitz, so I was on a bit of an anti-Horowitz kick. This series is called The Power of Five, and there are 5 books with very satisfying covers, and I haven't read any of them. All 4 of the next books came from the half-price hardback sale that Waterstones did in January. So I picked up Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I still haven't read a single Taylor Jenkins Reid book because I haven't read this, but I have decided that I want my first TJR book to be Daisy Jones and the Six, so this one is on the shelf until I read Daisy Jones and the Six, which I also own. I also picked up Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro, predominantly because this cover is stunning, but it's very chunky, and that kind of put me off. Even though not put me off enough to not buy it, but I haven't read it. I also picked up It Starts With Us because, I'll say this here because I've said it in other videos, but just in case, when my husband and I got married, we, instead of asking for a gift list, we asked our guests to gift us a copy of their favourite book. So we had a little library of our favourite people's favourite books, and in an endeavour to read them all, we take it in turns to pick one a month, and I read it and he doesn't. One of the books we received as part of the wedding library was It Ends With Us, and I saw this at the time. I didn't know whether it was a sequel or a prequel, but I saw this, it was half price. I think the cover's pretty, and I did read this and I rated it 5 stars, so definitely worth picking up for half price. And then I also bought The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake because we'd bought the Atlas 6 just before Christmas, and I did read this, didn't enjoy it at all. Am I still going to buy the Atlas Complex? Probably. The next book I bought was The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I picked this up in a charity shop for £1.50. I thought the premise sounded pretty good, and I have since seen people talking about it positively, so I am looking forward to getting around to reading this because I didn't read it this year. And on the same charity shop trip, I also picked up The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai for the same reason. I read the blurb and it sounded good. That's all I had to go on. Again, haven't read this. The next book I bought was a special edition of Scattered Showers by Rainbow Rowell, which is a series of short stories with this special edition cover, and it's signed. It's signed. Rainbow Rowell is the author of one of my favourite books of all time, so I couldn't resist this. Did I read it though? No. It does have pretty gay rainbow edges though. Then I believe this was my husband's purchase, but we have merged our libraries this year, so oh, of course you're calling now. Okay, I've moved to filming on my phone because arguably the quality is better anyway. 2, did I say 1? 2, the charge on my camera was dying and I don't have any charged batteries. And 3, and I've completely lost the light and my phone is better at handling that and staying in focus than my camera is. So this is how we're doing this now. It's been a solid 45 minutes since I was talking about this. So I think what I got to was talking about Skullduggery Pleasant Until the End by Derek Landy. This is one of the books that my husband undoubtedly bought. I believe this is book 15 in the Skullduggery Pleasant series, which is technically categorised as a middle grade series, but it's another one that my husband, who is reading these, would say it probably isn't a middle grade book. But alas, this is a series that I included in the video about books that I made 10 years ago when I first did this vlogmas. So the fact that it's still here and relevant in my vlogmas now is somewhat poignant, but it's a series that I want to reread at some point. Like I say, my husband is currently rereading it and this is book 15 in the series. I need to get out of the habit of talking this much about books because the whole point of this video is to do it quickly. No, I haven't read this book. We have the fine print by Lauren Asher, which I definitely got at the works for only £6. No, I haven't read this, but it is on my 2024 list for next year. The next book I bought was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. It was really popular and that's the only reason I bought it. I think I rated this 3 stars, but I'm currently reading the sequel and finding it much better. So I did read this one. Yay! Next we have a series of books that I bought when my husband and I went to the Waterstones in Coventry on Valentine's Day because we know how to do a date properly. And the Waterstones in Coventry has an entire basement level that is all sale section, so we spent ages looking at all these sale books, and the next 6 or 7 books I got from the sale section, the first of which being Queenie by Candy Curtis-Williams. I believe Candice Carty-Williams. I definitely got that wrong the first time and I always get it wrong when I say it. Candice Carty-Williams. I think I have another book by this author that I also haven't read. This one was £3 and no, I didn't read it. Next we have Guild by Raven Kennedy, which is the first book in the Plated Prison series. There's a little bit of damage down here. Got it for £3. Haven't read it yet, but it is on my list for 24 and 2024. Then we have The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss, which is a spin-off novella in the series that starts with The Name of the Wind, I believe. I didn't realise this was a spin-off novella when I bought it. It's quite damaged, but the original series is on my 24 and 2024 list. So hopefully I'll get around to this next year. I thought this would be a nice quick win for my TBR. Turns out I've signed up for a massive series. Next up we have The Boy at the Top of the Mountain by John Boyne. This is another one I got in the sale and I thought it sounded quite good. No, I haven't read it. The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. I bought this exclusively because I've heard of Ava Reid and I thought people like her and I thought the cover was pretty and it was only £3. Then I bought Set on You by Amy Lee for £3 from the works. Didn't read it. Buy the Book by Jasmine Guillory also came from the works for just £3 and no, I didn't read it. I was so excited to find a physical copy of this book. This is King of Fools by Amanda Foody, which is the second book in the Ace of Shades series, which I've picked up on Audible because I knew that it sounded like Ace of Spades, which I know is a super popular book, but I picked up Ace of Shades by accident and then absolutely fell in love with the series. This is book 2 and it's the only physical copy I have ever seen, ever. So I didn't read it this year, but I have read it. Then I picked up a practically pristine edition of A Beautifully Foolish Endeavour by Hank Green. I have no idea why this was in the reduced sale section because it's not broken or damaged stock in any way, shape or form, but I got it for £3. I have the first in the series. No, I didn't read it. Then we found a damaged copy of Ready Player 2 with no dust jacket, but it does have this really cool end paper artwork, which we were obsessed with. I bought this either just after or just as I was about to read Ready Player 1, so it was nice to have this one lined up. And I did read it, didn't enjoy it though. Then I bought This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Mota and Max Gladstone. I'm sorry if I'm butchering any and all of these names, because I probably am. I did read this and I was very disappointed in it, but I like as a paperback that it has these little flappy bits on the inside. Next up we've got 2 charity shop picks. I picked up The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Again, sorry for pronunciation. This one is on my 24 and 2024 list as well. And then I got How Do You Like Me Now by Holly Bourne. Again, I've heard good things about this author. It was in the charity shop, so it was cheap and it sounded good. No, I didn't read either of them. Then I picked up a copy of The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, which is book 2 in the Scholarmance series. I read book 1 on Audible and then I saw this and I wanted to read it physically, so I picked it up and I read it. I picked up The Kiss Quotient The Bride Test and The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, which is a series of interconnected standalones which are wonderfully told contemporary romances that all feature autistic main characters, and I absolutely adore them. This is potentially one of my favourite series of all time. This isn't the last you'll see of this series on this list either, but I have read all of those. The next book I bought was the sequel to The Last Graduate, and it's The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik, and I did read this, and then my mother-in-law gave me this beautiful bookmark which I've left in there permanently because I think it's really pretty. Then I bought Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. I loved Law by Alexandra Bracken, and this is an Arthurian retelling. So to go from an author I know I already like because of one of her Greek retellings, yeah, this is going to be a win when I read it because I didn't read it this year. Then I believe this was a trip to Waterstones in Reading where I lost my mind and my husband paid, so winning. This one has beautiful sprayed edges and it's Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. I haven't heard of this even now, but I must have read the blurb and thought it sounded good, and I didn't read it. Then I picked up Strong Female Character by Fern Brady, and it's on my 24 in 2024, which means I haven't read it yet. In the same haul I picked up The Luminaries by Susan Dennard, which I also haven't read. Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume, which I didn't read. Lex Crouch's Gwen and Art Are Not in Love, which is on my 24 in 2024, but I didn't read. And then I also picked up a physical copy of A Deadly Education, which is the first book in the Scholarmance series by Naomi Novik that comes before The Last Graduate and The Golden Enclaves, because I'd already picked up the other two in physical, so I wanted this one in physical as well. And I think the cover is stunning. Like, just look at it. It's beautiful. Next up, this was a new release at the time. I bought Happy Place by Emily Henry. I got it for an absolute bargain. I think this was £7 in Tesco's for a brand new hardback. Did that inspire me to read it though? No. Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. Absolute regret. Hated this book. Thought it was awful. I should really unhaul it, but I want to reread the books just to double check I hate it enough not to keep it. I also bought book 3 in that series on Kindle this year, not including Kindle books in this at all. And I didn't like that either. Next up we have Verity by Colin Hoover, which is on my 24 in 2024 list, which means I didn't read it this year. I think this must have been just after I read It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us, and I realised that I did like Colleen Hoover as an author, or at least like those books, because then I bought November 9 as well. Haven't read this either. Then I bought Electra by Jennifer Saint. I think this cover is stunning. Haven't read it yet. This was a new release that I pre-ordered, and that's Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, and I did read this, and you can tell because the spine is battered. Then I listened to Animal Farm by George Orwell as an audiobook. I actually liked it, and I don't often like classics, so that was a real experience for me. So I picked up my first ever cloth-bound classic of Animal Farm. I picked up Tom Hanks' The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece. I'd been resisting this one for a while, and then they had a signed copy for independent bookshops week, and I couldn't resist. This at least a page of this book has been touched by Tom Hanks, and that's very exciting. But I didn't read it. There's still 3 more stacks of books down here. I bought Love on the Menu by Mimi Deb. Didn't read it. Morgan Is My Name by Sophie Keach. Not yet. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Yes, I read this book. This copy has actually been read twice because my husband read it as well. Yes, we read this book. Bright Ruin by Vic James is the second book in the Gilded Cage series. I don't know if there's another name for it. I read the first book on Kindle, and I only read the first book. No, is this the third book? This is the third book because I bought the second book not knowing it was the second book. So I read the first book on Kindle, then I read the second book physically because I owned it, and then I bought the third book on Kindle, and then found this in a charity shop, and I was like, that's too good to be true. To find an uncommon book that I am currently reading in a charity shop. Absolutely. Are we still recording? Yes. Absolute win. And yes, I did read it, and it was only £1.99. So that was winning all round. And we have Killers of a Certain Age by Dina Rayborn, which I saw Chandler Ainsley talking about on her channel, and she sold it enough that I wanted to buy it, but not read it straight away because I didn't read it. Then I bought The Singles Table by Sarah Desai, which is the same author as one of the other books I also bought earlier in this year, The Dating Plan. And yeah, I thought this one sounded good as well. Not good enough to read straight away though. I bought Get a Life Chloe Brown, and I have read this. I read this on Audible last year and I wanted a physical copy. And then I also picked up The Soulmate The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Oh, there's too many books to talk about and I'm getting all my words muddled up. But no, I haven't read this yet. I picked up Dark Earth by Rebecca Stott, and although it looks like it's been read, it's because it's secondhand. I have not read it yet. Then I picked up 2 books in the Medusa Project series by Sophie Mackenzie, because again, I think I had books 4 and 6 in the series, so I found these books and they were at secondhand in a charity shop, and I was like, this is a series that I'm trying to collect, so I have to get them. So I've got The Setup and Hostage. Then I picked up The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell and didn't start reading it. Then I found 7 Letters by Sinead Moriarty and have not read it. I found another Ernest Cline book. Ernest Cline is the author of Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, which I read earlier in the year, and Armada is another one of his books, but I didn't read it. Then we have some of the most prized books in my possession. I've already said how much I love the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Huang, and then Illumicrate did some special edition versions, but they sold out super quick. But they did a reprinting of the special edition versions. So these are my special editions of the Kiss Quotient, the Bride Test, and My Heart and Joy, the Heart Principle. The next book I bought was The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. I listened to this entire series on Audible, but I'm collecting the paperback version, so when it came out in paperback for £5 at the Works, I picked a copy up. So yes, I have read this, but not this version specifically. I also picked up a copy of Nick and Charlie, which is a novella that goes with the Heartstopper series. I have read this book, but again, not this copy. I read my siblings' copy of this novella, and then I wanted to pick it up because I know they're changing the covers, so I wanted the original cover to match my other books in the set. I think I may have already said that I started this year by reading the Alex Rider series, and a new book was released, book 16 or 15 or 14. I have no idea. There's a lot of Alex Rider books, but a new one was released this year and I bought it because I've read the whole series, so I want to read this one as well. It's called Nightshade Revenge. I would like to read this book before the end of the year, but I currently have not read it. I think this was around my birthday weekend. I picked up 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. Generally, I wasn't interested in this book, and I think it was made cheaper because the paperback came out, but it was on sale for £2.50. Haven't read it. Then we got on to 2 books that were birthday presents. So I didn't buy them, but I have acquired them this year, and they're on my list, so I'm just gonna mention them. We have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which I also managed to pick up on Audible somehow without using a credit, so I have listened to this. My sibling also gave me this beautiful edition of Girl Goddess Queen by B. Fitzgerald with these beautiful sprayed edges. It's on my 24 in 2024 list. I will have already made a video about the 24 books I want to read in 2024 by the time this video comes out, but if I haven't, that video is coming. But this is on that list because I didn't read it this year. The next 2 books are the first books I received from my Illumicrate and Afterlight subscription boxes. So from Illumicrate in October, I got A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, which I did read because that's part of the reason I started my monthly TBRs, is so that I could read the books I was getting from my subscription straight away, rather than just having a collection of subscription books that I was never going to get round to. So I did read A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, and I also read Cleat Keep by Meryl Wilsner, which was the Afterlight book for... Actually, I think they were September books, but they arrived right at the end of September, so I read them in October. Then I bought a copy of Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, exclusively because I saw that this one was signed, and the signing had a little heart. I thought, oh, that's cute. She had to have done that on all of them, otherwise this one would just be too special, right? And I said to myself, if the next one in the stack down has a heart on it, I won't buy it. But if it doesn't, then this copy is clearly destined for me. And obviously the next copy in the stack did not have a heart. So me and my heart-signed Chloe Gong book haven't been read yet, but it is on my 24 for 2024. So it's on my peripheral to read soon. I'll talk about these 2 together because they are stunning. These are special edition hardback versions of Circe and Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I picked this up after I just finished reading the audiobook for Circe, so I have read it, but obviously not read it physically because I listened to it. And then Song of Achilles is a book that I think a friend lent to me when I was in 6th form and I never got around to reading. but I really enjoyed Cersei, and I think I'm going to really enjoy this. But this book is really pretty, so I will probably pick it up on Audible instead of actually reading it with my eyes. Then on release day I bought this copy of Wildfire by Hannah Grace, which is a special edition that was exclusive to the works with these gorgeous sprayed edges, and I did read this and I absolutely adored this. I rated it 5 stars and it's one of my favourite books of the year. Then I picked up 16 Souls and 12 Bones by Rosie Talbot, which are two books in the same series, I believe, and I haven't read either of them yet, but 16 Souls is on my 24 in 2024 list, and because I've already got the sequel I will probably read them together. Then I also bought this copy of Lightlark by Alex Astor because it was buy one get one half price when I bought 12 Bones or 16 Souls, one of the two. And I wanted to make the most of the deal, but not that much because I haven't read it yet. I have bought it yet, haven't read it yet. I'm quite impressed with how many of these are charity shop finds. I picked up a book called Theatrical by Maggie Harcourt. I am a musical theatre girly at heart, so reading a book that's set in a theatre or around some sort of show really makes my heart sing. Picked this up in a charity shop for £1. Haven't read it yet though. I found this copy of Little Fires Everywhere, abandoned on the streets of Portsmouth, but it's signed by the author. It's not in great condition, but that's fine by me because it means that when I break the spine more, it won't be too much of an issue. There's the signing. I haven't read it yet though. Then I picked up Temeraire by Naomi Novik. Naomi Novik is the author of the Scholomance series that I absolutely devoured this year, and I've heard that this is a good book to read after you read Fourth Wing. Similar kind of vibes. Haven't read it yet though. Next up I picked up a beautiful sprayed edge copy of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan, which is book 6 in the Percy Jackson series. I picked up a copy of Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Sorry for butchering that name. I've heard incredible things about this and I do want to read the whole series, but again I limited myself to just buying the first one and finding out if I like that before I invest in the rest. Didn't read it though, haven't read it though. Then I picked up Powerless by Lauren Roberts because it's gone absolutely viral on TikTok. It was only £5 in the works and I think the cover's really pretty. It's on my 24 in 2024 but I haven't read it yet. This one I technically have read and I bought this special edition because I've read it and I loved it. But it's the special edition of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. The sprayed edges are incredible and I absolutely love this series, so I could not resist. This is just so beautiful, I couldn't resist it. By this point I had worked up a £10 voucher by using my Waterstones loyalty card, so technically for free I got Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. This is on my 24 in 2024, which means, say it with me now, I haven't read it yet. Then this was another pre-order. I got Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood because I love Ali Hazelwood, and yes, I have read this, as you can tell by the wonky spine. But the book that came out on the same day as Check and Mate was Iron Flame, which is the second book in the Empyrean series, which follows Fourth Wing. Yes, I read this. I tried to read it on release day, but it took me nearly 2 weeks to finish. My November Illumicrate book was Starling House by Alex E. Harrow with this beautiful, like, transparent cover. It's really cool. I hate that it's shiny, but it is cool. And I'm hoping to read this before the end of the year. It's on my December TBR, but at present I haven't read it yet. And the same for my Afterlight book for November. It's called Second Chances in Newport Stephen by TJ Alexander. This is a gay festive romance which is on my December TBR and I hope to read before the end of the year, but in this current moment, no, I haven't read it yet. Okay, now we're on to everything that I bought in the ridiculous haul I did at the beginning of the month. So I have made a video about all of these. I don't think I've read any of them yet, so I'm gonna absolutely quick fire through these. I picked up the Folk of the Air series. Yes, I do now have 2 copies of The Cruel Prince. I'm probably gonna get rid of this one and keep the other one. But no, I haven't read any of them yet. I've got the Modern Fairy Tale trilogies by Holly Black, which is Tithe, Valiant and Ironside, and haven't read any of them yet. I picked up a box set of books by Alexandra Christo, which I don't really know anything about and I haven't read yet, but I have only owned these for 2 weeks, in my defence. Now we move on to some of the Christmas reads. I picked up A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I haven't read it yet. Then I picked up The Christmas Jigsaw Murders by Alexandra Benedict. Haven't read it yet. Love Like Farms by BK Borison, not yet. The Christmas Book Club by Sarah Morgan, not yet. One December Day by Rachel Marks, not yet. Blood Marked by Tracy Tion, currently reading. Does that count? I'm about 36% through it. I'm listening to this as an audiobook. Currently reading. That counts, right? Ballad of Songbirds and Snake by Suzanne Collins, not yet. The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods, not yet. Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey, not yet. All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox, not yet. I don't want to say no. No feels so definite. The Gingerbread Cafe by Anita Faulkner, not yet. Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. Yes, I have read this one. This was the first of the new books that I got in that haul that I have picked up, and I really enjoyed it. Then we have a bunch of books from Ella Mays. So Charlie Love and Cliches by Ella Mays, no. The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays, no. To Hate Adam Connor by Ella Mays, no. To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays, no. Marriage for One by Ella Mays, no. I should really look up what this series by Garth Nix is called, but Sabriel, Lyriel and Aborson, no. Another new release, Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. Yes, I did read this straight away and I absolutely adored this. It's a 5-star read, I thoroughly recommend it. And then the only books that I have got since I did that haul, I didn't buy them, I won a giveaway on Twitter, and I got the entirety of The Inheritance Cycle, which is the series that starts with Eragon by Christopher Paolini. And these literally arrived yesterday, so no, I haven't read them yet. So that's all the books that were on my list. So these are the books that, for whatever reason, I did not add to my list. So I picked up this beautiful special edition of Shatter Me by Tahiri Mafi. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I do already own the entire Shatter Me series. I picked up the box set from the works at the end of last year. Have I read it yet? No, but this version was just too pretty to resist. I mean, look at those edges. They're just stunning. Then my October Illumicrate book that I somehow completely missed from my list was After the Forest by Kel Woods. No, I haven't read this, but I have to acknowledge the sprayed edges. Look how beautiful they are. I picked up a secondhand copy of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. Technically I have read this because I studied it for my English GCSEs, but I'm gonna say no, I haven't read it because I want to reread it as an adult who isn't studying it. Then I picked up this book called Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. This was another secondhand charity shop pick, and apparently it sounded intriguing enough for me to want to read it, but I have no idea what it's about and I don't remember anything about it, so I haven't read it yet. This is one I think I picked up from my local bookstore at home, like home where I grew up, and my mum offered to buy me a book and she bought me Beach Rivals. Well, I picked it, she paid for it. Beach Rivals by Georgie Tilney, and I think that's why it didn't go on the list, because I didn't pay for it, so I didn't buy it, if that makes any sense at all. But I did pick up this year and I haven't read it yet. I did pick up this beautiful special edition of It Ends With Us because I read a paperback copy that was in our wedding library for one of our book club picks, and I really did enjoy it. Yes, I did buy this, but I have already read it, so at least there's that. This is another secondhand pick, which is why it's got some damage to the cover at the front, but it's called Onyx and Ivory by Mindy Arnett. It must have sounded... I think I picked this up almost exclusively because I think it's beautiful. Then we have another book in the Medusa Project by Sophie Mackenzie called The Rescue. I wish these editions had numbers on them because I have no idea what order this series goes in, but I know that I did check with my app and I didn't already have this. So now I own 5 books in the series. Then I've got another Christmas book that I picked up in a charity shop. There's a whole bunch of charity shop books. This Sophie Mackenzie book came from a charity shop as well that I just didn't put on my list for some reason. But I picked up this Christmas book called Let It Snow by Beth Moran. Haven't read it yet, but this is the season 2, so I might get around to it. Then to round it off, a bunch more charity shop books that I haven't read yet. I picked up Homegoing by Yagi Yazi. I picked up 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, which is definitely a Reese's Book Club pick. And then I picked up The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana in hardcover from a charity shop. And that is every single book I think that I've bought this year. Knowing that this whole stack wasn't on my list suggests that there might be other books that I've bought that aren't on this list. Actually, I can see them here. I bought the beautiful... I'm going to put a picture in because I don't want to move them. I bought the Illumicrate Bridgerton set and haven't read any of those. So there's that. There's a bunch of books that my husband has bought that I haven't included on my list. There's the special edition set of The Hunger Games, but I have technically read them, but I haven't read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is why I have a paperback version as well. I've very deliberately kept all of the new books I bought this year separate, so now my next job is to now integrate them and put them all in my shelves and then start afresh with the TBR list and my new buys list next year. I'm definitely going to try not to do this again next year. I like that I kept all the books separate so that I could make this video, and I think I will do that again. But yeah, really need to get a rein on buying books. I've bought nearly double what I've read this year, which is just not sustainable. So 2024 is going to be the year of getting through the backlog. I'm sure this is a very long video, so if you have made it to the end, thank you so much. Please leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another vlogmas video. Bye!